20 things you can write off on taxes using an LLC. Anything that can be deemed necessary to your business can be counted as a business expense, and you can save thousands of taxes by following me on here and Alpha Status Stock's YouTube.
Hello, my name is Creator Paige. I haven't made one of these in a while, but you already know how we do. I'm going to go ahead and get into the video, and I'm going to come back with my commentary.
Everyone who works 8 hours per day or more should immediately create an LLC for these 3 reasons. Number 1, you can immediately start writing off so many of your already daily and necessary expenses. For qualifying businesses, you can start deducting your cell phone bill, gas, insurance, truck payment, truck maintenance, part of your rent or mortgage, some of your grocery items, restaurant tabs, business meetings, and just so much more. This would be a 5-minute TikTok just telling you all of the tax advantages business owners get. But the fact is, you can legally write off all of this through a qualifying business or LLC. I myself saved over $50,000 on taxes last year by writing off things like this legally. My CPA would kill me for telling you all this for free, so consider hitting that like button to further enrage his overpaid ass. Number 2, limited liability company. It's literally in the name LLC. It limits your own personal liability in the case of bankruptcy or lawsuits. You end up bankrupting the company and not your own personal name and social security number. And instead of you personally being sued, it's now your business getting sued instead, which will prevent anyone from coming after you and your own personal assets and money, so long as you set it up correctly. And no one wants to get Googled by their tenants, so make sure you're forming your LLC in either Delaware, Wyoming, New Mexico, or Nevada. These states allow you to create your LLC with total anonymity as long as you appoint a nominee and a registered agent to do all of your signing for you. And number 3, now that you've started your own business now and are creating your own financial freedom, following me here will teach you several side hustles that you can turn into businesses and even begin creating passive income. You can't just create an LLC to avoid taxes. It needs to be a legitimate business with legitimate income and profit. But I teach you some pretty easy ones on this channel that you can start right away. Creating LLCs is not super difficult, but if you want to make sure it's being done right, protecting you and your family, and get personal one-on-one access to an incredible attorney that I personally highly recommend, then you've got to check out fastbizlaw.com and follow Robert on his own TikTok channel here. There's only one thing better in life than creating your own schedule and dodging as many taxes as legally possible, and that's following the channels that are dedicated to short educational life hacks.
In your LLC, I want your spouse on your board, your teenagers on your board, your mom and dad on your board.
Why do you want that?
Because now I can unlock paying my family members, sometimes tax deduction for you, tax-free to them, and build my wealth more because my family's involved. So many millions of Americans pay taxes and then support their family. Hell no, we're going to put them on the payroll. We're going to make them 1099s. We're going to make them outside labor. I'm going to go to New York or Cayman Islands or down to Cabo, and I'm going to have a board meeting. I just did a board meeting last week in California, wrote off the trip because we got to be thinking business when we travel. So travel, dining, kids, electronics, spouse. We got to remember this is a family business. Chris Cronin is the epitome of a family business, and you guys need to be modeling, and you unlock it with the board of directors.
Why is it important to get an LLC?
A client that we worked with last year, they made $55,500 of W-2 income. They would have been looking at just over $9,000 in taxes. So we set up their business. We showed that legal intent to treat and operate as a business. They wrote off startup expenses, and it saved them over $5,000 in taxes simply by setting up the business, showing the business-related expenses. It doesn't matter how much money you make. Self-employment is for everybody, and the opportunity is endless.
If you're a content creator and you're not doing this, you're leaving way too much on the table. So let's fix that. The amount of influencers that I've came across on big platforms on like with 100K likes, a bunch of follows, and the comments of people being given misinformation is crazy, because just because they have a lot of likes doesn't make it right. So I'm here to help you guys from getting scammed by influencers these coaches, these that are giving you information that's not true and paying them for a service and a promise, because they're making a promise to you that can't be kept. So today we're going to break down LLC versus S Corp, which one you should take, if it's time for you to even get an LLC, when you should get an LLC and upgrade to an S Corp. And I'm going to break it down for you, for content creators, affiliate marketers, or any business that you have. It doesn't have to be those two type of businesses, those two type of niches. So basically, especially if you're an influencer or just the entrepreneur in general. So you already know what to do. Grab a pen, a notebook, get you some water, hydrate, and I'm going to make this an easy way for you to understand and just take your notes. I'm probably gonna cut that out. So an LLC is a limited liability company. It protects your assets from debt collectors, things like of that nature, lawsuits. It's not an actual tax strategy. It's a legal structure. So when you hear people say get your LLC and you'll be able to do this, that, and the third, basically like add your family to a payroll, things like that, you don't need to have an LLC for that. Now it's super easy to set up. If you do enough research on Google, it is easy to set up. I've set my LLC up myself. I wish I would have waited a little longer to actually form an LLC because I didn't need it at the time. I was not making 30K or more. And at the time I thought that I was going to be able to take more write-offs and have more tax benefits. Like it was this golden ticket to more, tax money savings, and it's simply just not. It is flexible if you're just starting out. If you do have a lot of assets and you want to be protected, then yeah, absolutely get your LLC. I'm not saying it's a complete bad thing. An LLC just protects your butt, okay, from a lawsuit. Not more tax savings. If you're wanting more tax savings, then that's where the S Corp comes in. An S Corp is a tax classification, not a business type. So what you can do is you can form an LLC, right? And then you can elect for an S Corp. So meaning you have to have your LLC first in order to elect to become an S Corp. So the benefit is you're going to split the salary from distributions. So the salary is going to be taxed. You only pay self-employment taxes on the salary, not the full amount, which is the distributions. So the reason this can actually save anywhere from 5K, 3K to like 10K, right? If you're making over like 30K or more. So that's why I say it benefits you to do that if you're making, I would say, at least 10K, right? If you want to wait a little longer, 30K. It'll save you from that. And I used to think like, well, what happens if you don't, pay yourself from S Corp? Well, you have to pay yourself. Otherwise, it would only be non-tax distributions, because it'd be so salary versus money that's not taxed. The salary is going to be taxed as self-employment. The distributions isn't taxed. So that's where the tax saving comes in. I hope that makes a little sense. Basically, the IRS sees you as two people. Even if it's just you working for yourself under that S Corp, you would have to pay yourself a W-2. Think of it like this. One's the employee and one's the boss that actually runs it. think of yourself as two people, basically. One's the employee, one's the boss collecting profits. So only one pays those heavy taxes. It took me forever to figure this out too. So if you're not, you'll have to actually, once you actually do the work, you'll get it. But I'm hoping this does make some sense. So basically, here's the key differences from what an LLC. Here's the difference from an LLC. So an LLC, legal protection, yes. Tax form is a Schedule C. Tax benefits, basic. Bookkeeping, basic. Payroll required, no. No payroll required for LLC. So LLCs are simple and they're safe. An S Corp is strategic and smart, but only if you're making the profits to basically, only if you're making enough to see those benefits. So yeah. Basically, you want to make sure that you have enough income to justify the key benefits of that. Otherwise, you're just kind of not really I don't want to say you're not benefiting from it, but okay. So when should you switch, right? And I think, let me knock it out. When should you switch? When you're making 30 to 40K, when you're actually able to pay yourself a legal salary and have some left, which is distributions. Okay, so that's the key benefit, because it wouldn't make sense if you're just making, like, say you're making 5K and you're paying yourself. Must be able to pay yourself a reasonable salary. I keep running out of storage, y'all. So you'll need like payroll software like Gusto, QuickBooks, things like that. It is best to talk to a tax pro when making these switches. If you are pulling in serious cash, but you're still formed as an LLC, you're basically tipping the IRS for no reason. Okay, and we're not doing that. We're not doing that this year. All right, guys? So LLC pros. It is easy to set up. Okay, it's low maintenance. And it's really good for beginners. Those are the pros. The pros of in S Corp. More tax savings. Looks more legit to banks and lenders. Pays you a reasonable salary like an employee. So like with the W-2. And that could be a beneficial so many ways. If you want to buy a car, get a house, you can still do that with an LLC 1099, right? You can still show proof of income, right? But it looks more legit as a W-2, and you don't have to go through much trouble, because you know how the damn salespeople be looking for any and every way, to not give you the car or the house or a loan. The cons of an S Corp. It requires bookkeeping, more paperwork, needs to be done right, or it backfires. So whether you're like both LLCs or an S Corp work for creators, affiliate marketers, freelancers, entrepreneurs in general, right? Really, it just depends on how much you're making and how much you're trying to keep at the end of the day. All right, so if you are ready to switch, you ready to stop overpaying in taxes, I have free resources. And since I have done the work myself to form my own LLC and S Corp, I also do coaching for that as well. But I'll be honest with y'all, I'm not going to tell you something that you don't need, and it'll be like a coaching. I'm going to tell you if you even need an LLC or an S Corp. And we'll go over your situation. But I have free resources, okay? And there's a free tax checklist. It's like 1 page. And I did have a free money tracker, but that's actually was only like for a limited time. Basically like a Google Sheets for beginners to help you keep track of your income. But it is in my course. No pressure, not trying to get on here and sell y'all anything, okay? But it is there to let y'all know, you know, to basically, I'm not gonna get on here and just agitate the situation and tell you everything that's gonna go bad. I'm gonna give you all the sauce, and I'm also gonna offer a solution. But I just had to get on here and talk about that because I don't know if it's because I know too much, you know, about when it comes to taxes and tax law, but it really bothers me because it's like, why are you lying to people just to make a sale? You know, like, you're doing more harm than good. You know what I mean? Do you even know if you're lying? Do you even know if you know what you're talking about? You know? And in the tax world, I'm surprised nobody called him out for that because everybody's really eating it up. Okay? I ain't trying to come on here and bash the man, but keep in mind, if it has a lot of likes, do your research still. Just because it has a lot of likes and comments, don't make it right. That's the motto. Just because it has a lot of likes, don't make it right. Okay? If you're not trying to get audited, go ahead and hit me up. Okay? If you another good tip I'm gonna give y'all some sauce, okay? Put it in the chat GPT. When you watch a video, right, and you're not really sure if they know what they're talking about or not, chat GPT. Copy the link to the video, put in your chat GPT, and he's gonna tell you, like, they don't know what they're talking about, okay? But of course you have to know what you're looking for too in order to, but anyway, save this for tax season and tag a creator who needs it.